there's always going to be a curveball. And a lot of the stress from real estate comes from not knowing what to do.
Right.
Well, if you're proactive and you take those classes from agents that have done it longer, done it better in bigger markets, that have already experienced even crazier things than what we go through. And it will help you whenever you are faced with a challenge. Why not learn? It makes your job literally easier. It takes some of that stress away, and it helps you help your customers and clients better.
Ready? Ready to rock and roll? Is that action? All right.
Okay. That's right.
All right.
Absolutely. Go. Go.
Hello, everybody. It's Jason Will with
Go.
This is a real estate podcast, but we talk about leadership, personal growth, and becoming the best version of yourself. Leadership, check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Growth, best version of yourself.
Go.
So this is a real estate podcast. Welcome to the Impact Agent Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Will. Before I introduce my very lovely guest, I want to remind our listeners that this podcast is sponsored by JPAR Coaston County. That's JP & Associates Realtors here in the Mobile Bay area. If you're interested, send me a text message, 251-583-9728. I am joined today by Candace Foster, Better Homes and Gardens, Main Street Properties here in Mobile, Alabama. Good morning, Candace.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So I've been trying to get you on this podcast for a while because I'm a learning-based agent. Being a learning-based agent changed my life, and I believe that I'm sitting next to a fellow learning-based agent.
You are.
So I'm glad we were finally able to get our schedules right so we could get here and do this. But I feel like we have a learning-based agent problem in our industry.
Me too. It's a pain point for me.
Yeah. So, like I hosted my own real estate conference because real estate conferences changed my life. That's where, it started with YouTube videos and just going to small little events. And then the national events is really what made the biggest impact on me. Mm-hmm. So I had this big, bright, big, beautiful idea that I was going to host my own. And the event was really, really nice. But, it was a classy event, but it was a complete and utter just bomb because not many people came. And it was at the point at the end where we were literally just slashing prices, giving tickets away. And so it really brought me into just how bad it is. So in New Orleans, for example, I think there's 4,000 to 6,000 agents in their association.
Wow.
And so this event was 20 minutes, 30 minutes, in some cases 5 minutes away. And you just couldn't get people to drive there. So that really opened my eyes. I had agents from my own office just not come. And so I was like, wow, we had Tom Ferry there. We had John Chiplak. We had Coach Michael Burt. We had some of the top agents and minds in the real estate business. So I'm like on this crusade just to wake people up. And I feel like the more they hear from agents like you and hear your story, maybe we can shake the bushes and change some mindsets this morning. I don't know.
God, I hope so. I feel the same way.
Well, tell me about your story. So I really want to know when, why, and how you became a learning-based real estate agent.
For me, I've always been, even growing up in school, I like to sit on the front row and, I was kind of like the teacher's pet, worked in the library and all of that good stuff. So it really comes naturally. It's a part of my personality. And I even took a personality test the other day, and it was literally like, I'm the investigator. I like learning and being held as competent. That's my fear, is to be seen as incompetent. And it just really opened my eyes as to why I am the way that I am. And it boggles my mind that other agents don't take more of an initiative to learn. So basically, with real estate in particular, when I got into it, I just went to any class. I craved the information because with real estate, every contract is different. Mm-hmm. Every deal is different, even though I hate to use the word deal. But, there's always going to be a curveball. And a lot of the stress from real estate comes from not knowing what to do.
Right.
Well, if you're proactive and you take those classes from agents that have done it longer, done it better in bigger markets, they have already experienced even crazier things than what we go through. And it will help you whenever you are faced with a challenge. Why not learn? It makes your job literally easier. It takes some of that stress away. And it helps you help your customers and clients better.
So when did you get into the real estate business?
October of 2014.
And you're saying that right out of the gate, you started like a sponge, just whatever you could find,
Okay.
consuming information.
Yes. And I mean, even before that, I did not even have my license yet. I actually was studying and taking an online course for my license, and I still went into the office every day to do my online course and went to all of the sales meetings.
Wow. I love those kind of real estate agents. So what did it do for you? Can you attribute that to a fast start in the business? What happened from there?
I would be lying if I said that I made money quickly.
Yeah.
It was still a very frustrating point to get to my first closing. But I will say that I felt like I could help other agents that came in. And when I did have the opportunity to go on, say, my first listing appointment, I mean, I needed help with the paperwork, but I already knew information from agents that had been doing it longer. So I was nervous, but I didn't have to flounder so much like, well, I don't know what to say. Because I mean, okay, so an example with that, I got my license October 2014. I was already at Inman Connect in New York that next January before I even had a closing.
Wow.
Going to parties at the stock exchange, talking to CEOs. So I had so much information to go off already to sound intelligent.
Yeah. That's big. To go to get your license in October and then go to New York City in January to Inman.
And met Spencer Raskoff.
Well, okay. So you come home from that. Or while you're at the event, what are you feeling? What did it give you? Any energy, any excitement, any encouragement, motivation, inspiration? What was happening in your mind?
It definitely. I mean, immediately to be in a room surrounded by so many successful people that are literally helping to run this, our industry. I mean, I just stood there and had to take it all in. Like, I'm surrounded by greatness right now. I mean, it was very inspiring to me.
Well, what I found for me is it made me think bigger.
Oh, yeah.
So you're around somebody who's a millionaire or a multimillionaire. Maybe they're a single agent. Maybe they run a team. Maybe they're a broker, owner, manager. They own several offices. You've got people in mortgage and people in title, people that are in real estate and mortgage and title. So you've got these serial entrepreneurs, and you're like, you go home, you come back to Alabama, and you're like, I'm not thinking big enough.
Exactly.
There's this whole bigger opportunity out here. And, I'm just trying to reach like the $1 million club in my office or whatever
Yeah.
whatever that lowest tier award is. Like if I can just get there, I'm going to get, my name on a plaque or something. So that was huge for me. But I can remember like we came back and I say this, I'm not 100% sure it's true, but I'm pretty positive. Like we brought coming soon listings to the area. We started doing things here that people were doing on West Coast, East Coast. It takes a while for it to kind of merge into where we are here in the South or in small towns and small markets. So I thought that was huge. Just all the strategies that they're using to generate business. And it was just eye-opening. So I got hooked. So for me, I had to generate business and really track it back and go and say, well, if I didn't watch that YouTube video, I wouldn't have closed this sale. Yeah. And from when that connection was made, I was hooked. Have you seen actually closed transactions from being a learning-based agent?
Definitely. I mean, I've had people reach out and just say, hey, I didn't really know who I wanted to work with, but I mean, I see how on Facebook you're always going to classes and things, and it's really important to me to work with an agent that actually knows what's going on. I mean, that's been my biggest thing. I mean, just showing that you are connected and that you care about the latest trends. I mean, some people may not take that into account, but especially with the younger generation, I feel like they like to be connected and they also want someone working for them who is also connected and learning the latest.
I agree. I would imagine, just shot in the dark here, that all this learning improves your confidence.
Yes,
and
definitely.
I feel like, and this is not a novel concept, but I feel like our consumers, they really want to hire to confidence. Like this is a big transaction. You don't want to, it's like that commercial. What is it? Just okay is not okay.
Yeah, with the doctor.
Yeah. I mean, who wants to hire a real estate agent who goes, I think I can get this done for you. I mean, come on. So, you know, agents are always worried about, well, what if new agents, what if somebody asks me how long I've been in the business or how many deals I've closed? I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be put on the spot. I feel like there's less of that out there right now. Like we're encountering so many people that want things to come to them and come easily, that if they encounter somebody who is a hustler, they just want somebody who's going to be an advocate and, you know, work hard.
Yes.
It's really not all that complicated.
Oh, yeah.
But one of the big things, I'm trying to really understand the psychology behind this, of the real estate agent mindset, where they don't feel like they have the time or the resources to invest in education. And I want to point this out because if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you know I was not a learning-based agent. I became a learning-based agent and my life changed. But before that, I was a complete turd. I didn't see the point in going to the office. I was the agent that just came around when they needed something. Like, oh my God, somebody said they want to buy something. Now what do I do? And the broker owner managers were like, dude, we've been having classes in here for weeks. You don't come to anything. And now you show up when you need something. I was that agent. So I think I have it figured out. Is one of the things that was my thought process is that I didn't see an immediate reward from it.
That makes sense.
So if you're in 100% commission-based sales and you're telling me I need to go to New York for 3 days or 4 days or whatever it is, that's going to cost me what, $2,000 minimum, maybe? Did you track your receipts at all? I mean, it's a big investment.
You know, I probably should. It's not cheap, although I am cheap and I figure out ways to make it cheap.
So you're not buying like a $20 sandwich somewhere.
No, I stay at the Row and it's like $75 a night. And I save my leftovers and all the parties at night are open bar and free food. So I mean,
right.
Yeah.
Just you're traveling smart.
Yeah.
But still you got plane ticket and it is time away from work. And
True.
I think most agents go, well, I'm not going to meet somebody up there that's going to buy a house in Alabama or wants to sell a house in Alabama. But I think they're missing out on the massive referral opportunities that happen.
Definitely. And, you know, that's the thing. I've spoken about this before with other agents and even at our own sales meetings. And, you know, that is the common thing that I hear. Well, you know, I just don't have the means to go. And I understand, you know, I'm married, but I don't have kids. And I understand I don't really know about that. But I don't know. You just have to really look at your big picture of what you want your career to be. And for me, I can't afford not to go because it is the referrals that I get out of it. You know, I'm in a couple of groups on Facebook with agents from all over the country. I'm the only Alabama agent in at least one of those groups, the only one in Mobile for sure. So when I go to, say, Inman, I go up there alone. I immediately have friends that are in this group. And I would say, let's see, okay, what is it? 2020, 2018, almost half of my business came from referrals from agents in these groups.
Wow.
Yes. I mean, there is money to be made by going on these trips. And, you know, like I said at our sales meeting before, hey guys, if you don't want to go, I will gladly be the Mobile referral agent. I will continue.
Yeah, I'll take all that business.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually, thank you.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So let's dive in. I want to dive into what you learned. You gave me some bullet points that you wanted to talk about this morning. So we've established that it is profitable in more ways than one. I mean, you're building relationships. So you're making friends. You're building business relationships. You're generating referrals. You're thinking bigger, you're learning new strategies. There's all these collateral benefits that are going to pay dividends. You don't even know how you're going to profit from what you've learned or who you've met now. I mean, there's going to be something in the future that's going to blow your mind still. So I think we've established that. So let's talk about some things that you brought back over the years, tactical things that you're using to grow your brand, your influence, and your sales volume.
Gosh. where to begin?
I've got them written down. So
okay, good. Good.
Yeah. So the first thing that was on your list was being consistent. And I talk about consistency is the only magic bullet in real estate. But tell me what consistency means to you.
So especially now with all of the gazillion apps that you can have, it's really easy to get caught up in, this bright new shiny app or this tool, this and that. And, it's exciting to try these new things, and I like to do that, but you just have to find what works for you, because I hear agents all the time like, oh, well, I tried that and it didn't work. Well, I did this and it didn't work. Yeah, but how many times did you do it and for how long? Because in the long run, for something to work for you, you still have to go back to people liking you and trusting you. You can't just, with your marketing, you can't just try something once or twice and be like, well, that didn't work. You still have to be consistent with not only how your brand looks, but in what you do and what you say.
Okay. So what I'm hearing you say, we talked about this, about that maybe the issue with the psychology of the real estate agent is an instant gratification thing.
Yes.
So what you're saying too is that there is probably not going to be an immediate financial return from doing a single Facebook post.
Agreed.
Running a single ad or whatever it is, that you have to be consistent with both your tools and how you market yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you're going to stay top of mind and be known and have people begin to build that trust with people, which is going to translate or evolve into transactions down the road. Exactly.
I mean, for instance, I'll have people say, I'm not looking to buy a house right now, but God, you make me want to buy one, and sometimes even if you do a post and it doesn't really get a lot of traction, that does not mean that people don't see it. Some people just don't really click on stuff. Some people just, for whatever reason, I don't get it, but, some people just, they don't want to like anything, but they're noticing. And I've had people that I didn't even, quite honestly, if I can be candid, I didn't even think they liked me. And then one day they'll reach out and be like, hey, my friend wants to buy a house. I told him to get with you. And I'm like, wow, okay. You never liked my post or anything. So that's where consistency comes in. You just got to put it out there.
Right. Some of these people, you don't even know they're following you because they don't like or comment at all.
Yeah.
And you're like, where did you come from? You're following my stuff?
Exactly.
For whatever reason, they just don't hit the like button.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd never know. Okay. So what about this? Bradley Flowers talks about this, about technology being the catalyst for the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It is a means by which starting new relationships. And so you're having conversations with people you may not have ever met, but the real estate agent is going, well, where's my contract? Like, they want to skip the conversation and go right to this client relationship with somebody who's actively wanting to buy or sell. And some of these conversations you're having are with people that may turn out to be clients 2 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just this compound effect. And the compound effect is a result of being consistent.
Oh, yeah.
Are we tracking here?
Oh, my gosh. Completely. You have to trust the process. I think that's what it goes back to. I mean, you don't plant a seed in a flower pot and keep, trying to dig it back up. You just have to keep doing what you're supposed to do and trust that one day something will start growing. I mean, and one thing I think that agents need to remind themselves is, quite honestly, there are a lot of people who do not trust real estate agents.
Right.
We are one of the least trusted professions out there, and it's embarrassing. I think it's sad, and I want to change that so hard because there are a lot of really good, sincere, trustworthy agents. But I think that when the market's good, so many people get in that really shouldn't. Or some people just never leave that probably should, and I just want to change that so bad.
Yeah. That's just a quick plug for the company we just partnered with. They have a minimum standard of 6 transactions a year. So that was one of the things that really excited me, because I feel like this problem that we have, this lack of trust, this negative perception, is caused by the part-time agent. And I don't want people to hear that and get mad, but, because I know some part-time agents that are closing well more than 6 deals a year. They've got another career. They're just, they just take it seriously.
Yes.
It's a focus of theirs. They're like, this is just another stream of income. So if you're doing the 1 to 2 to 3 deals a year, gosh, do us all a favor. So I was like, gosh, I wonder, what would our industry look like if NAR instituted that? I know they'd probably have a bunch of lawsuits on their hands, but like in a perfect world, wouldn't that be nice? All right, where else do you think agents need to be consistent? Where are they dropping the ball on consistency? Anything else?
Oh, gosh. Other than classes, I would say one point that I took away, or I will say I enjoyed it because it validated how I feel, is that agents need to focus on branding, not just lead generation. And I hate to call people leads. Again, people are people, and you need to nurture those relationships.
Yeah, great point.
People are not leads. No one wants to feel like they're being sold to. People see right through that. However, for the topic of marketing, you can use as much tech as you want to. The customer has to come first. If it's not making the customer's life better, don't use it and focus on branding. No one will want to work with you unless they know what you're about. And especially with our profession, they have to see you out there consistently and feel like you're everywhere. So, everything is connected.
Sorry, I write slow. That was a really good quote. If it doesn't make the customer's life better, don't use it.
Yeah, in a nutshell. And that is really, a quote that I heard it, Emma, and I forgot who said it.
It's now yours.
Okay.
It's now Candace Foster. So you're about to be given full credit for that quote. I go back to this, like these success principles. Any personal development person that you respect, and you start looking at their top 5 or top 10 list of how they got where they are, they say consistency. Consistency over time. They're playing a long game. And too many of us are looking for like the quick, easy fix, right? And it's a problem. All right. So your online presence, how does an agent establish that? What does that even mean?
For one thing, to just be aware of what you're posting that could drive people away. Even if you do nothing else, you are in a unique profession being an agent. And some people don't care about this, but I try not to make people angry. That always helps. Number 2, just be true to who you are. People want to know what they're working with, whether they're doing business with you or not. I just think it's important to be yourself. If you're, a humorous person, share humor, but also just show behind the scenes. Real estate to people is kind of like a sexy profession too. It's now an entertainment category on TV. So people want to see behind the scenes work. So you can show that. Never post a picture without a filter. I just think that that's like a sin with real estate. It's all about the pictures, and we live in a world where it's like an Instagram world. That's part of your branding. If you're posting crappy pictures, who wants you to list their house? I don't know. It's down to the details.
Well, it's like anything. If you're fumbling with the lockbox on somebody's front porch, what are the buyers doing? They're looking around. They're looking to see if there's bugs in the light fixture above them. And they're going, gosh, if you don't clean that out, what's the rest of the house look like?
Yeah.
So if you're a real estate agent, you could post a crappy picture of yourself. Like, well, if they're going to post crappy pictures of themselves, what kind of pictures are they going to post about my house?
I know. Oh my gosh. And there are a lot of agents who have degrees in like marketing, PR, advertising, etc. Like I have a degree in advertising and PR myself. And don't get me wrong, everybody's human. We all make mistakes posting. Maybe we have a typo, but fix it quickly. But it's amazing the agents that I see post things real estate related that their punctuation is bad. The typos here and there. You're putting this out there. Do you not look at it before you post it?
Yeah.
And you have an advertising degree?
Right.
Shame on you. Like, I would never want somebody to list my house that couldn't even spell check.
Well, and I hate to give Bradley too many plugs on this show because he's not a sponsor. We don't really have any sponsors other than JPAR, and I own it, so I guess I am the sponsor. But he says that really what you post is your resume. It's your reputation. And so there is this compound effect there as well. People are like, wow, this is they are defining you based on what you do, how you post. And they're like, if you're just sloppy,
Yeah.
they're going to be like, I don't want to hire you because you're sloppy. And you're like, but I'm really I may be a learning-based expert, market expert, just super professional. But if they're going to make a judgment based on how they perceive their perception through what I'm posting.
Yep.
And how I post it and what it looks like. So that's great. But you talked about the nature of our profession, and I'm constantly telling agents now, you're a public figure.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you're a politician. I mean, you are a celebrity. If you don't want to be a public figure, I recruit agents. So I stalk their Instagram profiles. I can't tell you how many agents in Mobile County whose Instagram profiles are private. So do some research on that. It'll blow your mind. It'll blow your mind. But yet they may have marketing degrees or think they're marketing experts. But yet if I go on their Facebook page or their Instagram account, I can't tell what they do. I'm either locked. You either got a request to join or they have nothing on there that says they're even remotely a real estate agent. So go figure that.
That is crazy.
Yeah. I love the other next thing on your list because, and I don't know if these two are connected, but we'll find out when we dig a little deeper. But that relationships are still paramount, even in this tech-driven industry or world, rather, that relationships are still important. Can you unpack that for us a little bit?
I think that it always goes back to people have to like you, trust you, and want to do business with you. And, you can have the greatest online presence in the world and filter every picture. But when people meet you in person, if they don't feel like you match up with your online presence, then it doesn't matter, especially if you're meeting somebody that just met you off Facebook, as that can happen. You have to match up online and offline.
I know I was going to say something. I was going to tell a little story. So humor me here. But you were talking about like, don't post negative things. Don't post things that are going to make people mad. So I want to give somebody a real life example that I experienced. Okay. So I was a big fan of the show Apprentice. So
I can already see where this is going. I liked that show too.
There was a certain book that this person, wrote with a ghost writer that I read. And then there was a political campaign that followed. And I was like, this person is a complete turd. Worse than me. And so I got really, really angry. This is somebody I looked at like a little virtual mentor of mine. I was like, this is a real estate mogul. I love that show and, shame on me. But so I started making very opinionated posts about this person. And I had somebody reach out to me that I still have never met to this day. Reached out to me and goes, hey, I'm in some circles. I run in some circles of some important, influential people. And you're making them very angry.
Oh, gosh.
And they are telling people not to do business with you. And he goes, I know this is costing you money. And he goes, listen, I feel your pain. I know where you're coming from. He goes, but you need to stop. You need to stop right now or this is really going to hurt you.
Yeah.
And so I did. And I've been really, really good about it ever since and just not voicing my opinions. But there's a real life example of where it came back and bit me in the butt.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a shame that in our market, you can't, because there's plenty of people that post on a certain side of this fence all day long and they never get any pushback.
Yeah.
So it's a shame, but it's just life's not fair and you got to move on.
Exactly.
Right?
And if you choose this profession, I mean, there are just rules that go along with it, even if they're unspoken.
Right. So back to relationship building, are you big into networking events? Do you join clubs? You don't have kids, so you're not the ball field. So what do you do to meet people and build relationships?
Okay, I'm very ADHD, so I'm always involved in a lot and always have been. But basically back in 2009, I started doing community theater. And I would say at least 50% of the people I know are just from that and opportunities that came along with that. And I grew up taking dance class and things like that. So you meet a ton of people through that. And then, generally I keep up with those people for a very long time. I'm part owner in a gym. So,
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What's the name of the gym? Let's give it a plug.
Spring Hill Fit Body Boot Camp.
Okay.
Yep. So, there are a ton of people.
Is that with Bedros? Is that Bedros' thing or is that something different?
Yes, it is.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
So do you do any masterminding with him or do you go to any of his events?
I went to the conference in San Diego last year. I have not personally met him.
Yeah, so this past November?
It was the Fit Body World Conference, I think it was called. It's escaping me right now, but it was last April in San Diego.
He spoke at it? You got to see him speak?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's an impressive dude. I read the book Man Up, so I liked it. And I got to see him at a Craig Ballantyne event, also in San Diego. So that's interesting.
Yes. So, I mean, I focus on clusters and then the relationship in those. Now, going back to relationships, you can't be best friends with everybody. Within those clusters, who I jive with the best, that's who I usually keep up with. But, worlds collide. People start to cross over and then, you're friends on Facebook and you meet people through people and, and if you're genuine and you put it out there, I mean, it just grows from there. And you just have to be involved in the community too. That's a good way. When people see that you go to things in your city and that you promote new businesses in your city, you have to be like basically a spokesperson of your city. Because I've had people reach out before that are just like, you're so involved, and they'll have questions about this or that have nothing to do with real estate. But they're just like, well, I figured you might know because I know you do a lot. I mean, you have to become that person that people come to. You have to be the local expert.
Yeah. And I could tell you that it has not served me well to humor my introverted tendencies as much as I do. And so for the longest time, I blamed it on the kids. Like I was like, oh, they're just so young. We got to get a sitter. It's a pain in the butt. But, I'm comfortable around people I'm comfortable around. Mm-hmm. And, we all know if you're a learning-based agent, you've heard it a million times that everything you want's outside your comfort zone.
Yes.
And so this relationship thing is really big to me because, what you focus on expands. And since I've been focusing on relationships, everywhere I look, every person I talk to, I see it or I hear it. And that's why when it came up on your list you gave me, I was like, this is pretty cool because it is. I was talking to somebody the other day. I'm trying to think who it was or what the business was. It was an entrepreneur in Fairhope who was talking about, he's in the hair salon business. Mm-hmm. And he's like, they have hair salon conferences. So he's a learning-based hairstylist entrepreneur. And he said there's a lady in their group who is like opening all these salons. She has like 10. So she's just, growing this big network. And she attributes it all to people she's met.
Oh, yeah.
And relationships she's made. And people that want to partner with her or, just invest in whatever she's doing because they like her online presence. They like her brand. They like how genuine she is. They like her vibe.
Yeah.
And so I was just always behind the computer trying to generate internet leads and do that for so long, which is just, it should be half of what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Or less. But, so anyway, I digress. I've got a lot of issues. I'm working through them. I'm a work in progress. So do you feel like in terms of relationships, do you feel like there's some key ones that, that people should try to develop or that have been key in your career, that people that you've known? Has it been people in your sphere of influence or has it been other influencers in the community, or has it been a combination of both?
I would say a combination. I love also building relationships with other agents. I've never been a person that really cares what company you work for. I'm like, can't we all just be friends,
Right.
And I like learning from other agents. I don't know. I feel like every company has their own personality, and I love that. And basically, I mean, it really helps, say, if you go on a listing appointment, a lot of agents focus on, well, I'm going to find the buyer. Well, if you're the listing agent, it's really your job to mainly market. You should be saying, hey, I have a great relationship in the community and with these other agents. My job is to market your house. I won't always be the one to show it, but let me show you. I have these other agents basically working for me. And I mean that in a positive way. If we all look at it the right way, we're all each other's customers, basically.
Right.
That helps the seller.
I mean, if you look at it the right way, we're all each other's customers.
Yeah. So, I mean...
You're dropping some bombs, Candace. You're dropping some serious bombs.
That's why it boggles my mind sometimes. There are many awesome agents, but then you sometimes have agents that are a little combative for no reason. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, dude, we should all be having great relationships with each other. Anyways, that's one of my pet peeves.
Well, and, the other side of this is that, I think agents are really focused on the fact that they're competitors.
Yeah.
Okay. Like there's agents that would totally disagree with what we're doing right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because I sell real estate. You sell real estate. Why would I tell you what's important to me or what I'm doing? Or, because you might go use it.
Yeah. Most people won't do it anyways. That's the thing.
Right.
That's why I don't mind teaching. The majority of people are not going to put it into action anyways. They probably won't even show up, if we're being honest.
Yeah. That would be like step one, show up.
Yeah.
Put
on
up.
pants and show up.
Brush your teeth. So that's key. But I really have found that since another change that I made in my business was getting into collaboration out of competition.
Mm-hmm.
And my whole world just opened up. And it's this theory of abundance.
Yep.
Just give more. Longer tables, smaller fences, that whole mindset is life-changing. And so I think that's key for us to kind of point out. Okay, so people over technology. We've kind of, we've touched on this a little bit, but what did you learn at Inman that really kind of dove deep on this concept?
Well, just that concept in general. Because you could go into a lot of different areas and different apps, but just my main point that I took away was it doesn't matter what it is with technology. If it's not making it easier for the customer, you're really just doing it for yourself. And that's only further proving why people don't trust agents.
Right.
Get out of just doing things for yourself. Prove your value. Make the customer want to work with you. Make their life easier. I think it's important, myself included, to sit back and examine the 500 apps on my phone.
Yeah. Less automation.
Yeah.
Less delegation, more relational, you know, to get out there and really get toe to toe, eye to eye. People hate the belly to belly one, but that's I like saying that. And I think this is also to combat fear. I'm constantly coming in contact with agents who are like, we're getting teched out of the business. There's going to be a robot that replaces us. iBuyers come in, they don't need us anymore. And I have found that it's just the opposite. I'm sure this is why they really reinforce that. Hey, calm down. The more technology that's introduced, the more automated things get, the more artificial intelligence takes over. I feel like the more people crave these relationships. Mm-hmm. They crave that human connection. And going back to what Bradley was talking about, it's just the gateway. You can meet so many more people now than you could. You can connect with people. You're saying you're connected to people through your Inman groups, your mastermind groups that are all over the country.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like you guys are, kind of hanging out sometimes.
Some of these people I would consider some of my best friends. And literally we go up there and people will be like, so how did y'all meet? Because we're all from different states. And it's like, oh, through Facebook.
Yeah. You went up there by yourself.
Oh, yeah.
This started with you solo.
Yes. Well, years ago, we had a small group that went, but it just dwindled. So about 3 years ago.
Was that the San Francisco trip with Gary Vee spoke at Inman?
I did go to that one and met him. This was, that was probably the last time we had a group that went. It was a very small group, but it was in Inman, New York, about 3 years ago that I kept asking people to go. I was getting the big ignore. Leaving, and I was just like, you know what? I don't care if anybody else goes. I know one person up there and I'm going for the classes anyways. I'm going. And I kid you not, as soon as I got there, my one friend said, hey, everybody's up at Smith's across the street from the hotel. I walked in. It was a table of at least 20 people, brokers from around the country, CEOs, owners, brokers. Now we're friends. And the group just gets bigger every year. Just got to get uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's really sad, but I was, I would go to these events by myself. I would go to the classes and I would go back to my hotel room and I would make some excuse like, oh, I'm going to implement what I learned or, I got to go up and blog. I got to go do my stuff. But I think back now, what would my business look like if I had just gone to the cocktail reception after the event or said, hey, well, what are y'all doing for dinner?
Yeah.
So, I just say that to say and I still went to the events. I still got the education and it still helped me grow my business. But the relationships, you said half of your business in 2018 came from referrals.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the exact number, but it was half or close to half because those referrals also, some of them ended up being in Baldwin County and it was a higher split, higher sales price. I mean, it just kind of worked out that way.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So live and learn. My eyes are, opening up to just the possibilities and how much you can scale. That was the point I was going to make earlier, is that, you can level up through technology or being the guy behind the computer screen, but this is scale. Mm-hmm. We're talking about growth at scale through relationships and personal branding. I have next. So we've kind of touched on that a little bit, but I wanted to dive deeper into one of the things you were talking about with like the authenticity factor. Mm-hmm. So the matching up of who you appear to be online with who you are. I know you've probably seen it. Somebody in your office or in the industry somewhere trying to be somebody they're not.
Yeah.
I have told agents before, like I have an agent I was kind of mentoring, a RE/MAX agent over in the Mandeville area. And I was like, please don't take this the wrong way, but you're coming off as an actress. Like,
ooh, yeah.
Yeah, just like putting on a show and just and being very animated. And I was like, I mean, that's okay if it's who you are, but I've had a conversation with you in person. You're not, there's no fan blowing your hair and all this stuff. So this is difficult for people to do, but is it fair to say that the audience can sense when you're not being authentic?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and you're almost setting yourself up for failure, in my opinion. I'm a very naturally nervous person. I don't like that about myself. And part of that is probably being, very ADHD. But, I would love to be polished all the time,
Mm-hmm.
However, if I'm showing houses, I'm just going to be honest. There's going to be a 99% chance that I can't get the lock open for a few minutes. I don't know what it is, but, every house is different. You never know what somebody has rigged up.
Right.
Whether it's their lock or something in their house. And I feel like I make a fool out of myself all the time. So therefore, I get nervous, but I know these things are going to happen. So that's why I feel like on Facebook or whatever, I try to make people laugh because I'm like, look, for whatever reason, some people think that I'm going to be like this put together person. I'm anything but. So I just let you know from the get-go, you're going to see me look stupid.
Right.
It's going to come anyways. And that's another thing. People are going to form their own opinion about you no matter what. So you might as well go ahead and put it out there.
Yeah. And if it's about, this is a highly competitive industry that we're in. There's lots and lots of agents. And I think really one of the keys is to be different. And if the biggest way to stand out, I feel like, is to be authentic.
Yeah.
And, being like self-deprecating and all that stuff, like the walls just come down. I mean, people call Facebook fake book for a reason. It's like,
exactly.
It's so superficial. And then here you come, I saw something some agent posted where she was like showing property and she slipped and fell on this hill and she's rolling down. And somebody got on camera and she posted it. And I was like, that's awesome. I mean, it's that kind of stuff that goes viral, not the ones where you're like, super polished and trying not to mispronounce anything and just be perfect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for example, like I said earlier, I don't really like my voice, and I want to get to where I'm more comfortable doing like Facebook Live and stuff, but oh my God, it gives me like nervous hives. But so usually if I do video, it's like on Snapchat or something,
so it goes away.
Yeah. And, so I'm getting more comfortable. But like I went live in our company hub just showing this little tiny house that I listed. And it was super tiny, but the guy had all this techie stuff in it. Well, at the time, I had nothing Alexa related. All of that's still really new to me.
Right.
Well, I'm standing there live and I'm like, Alexa, turn on the kitchen light. And like, it's not working. And I'm like, over and over, I couldn't get it right. But the thing is people probably watched that video in our tiny little hub more than anything just because they saw me screwing up behind the camera. And I'm like, sorry, guys. I promise it actually works sometimes. Yeah.
That is so funny. And it's so true. My wife did a video. She's been just fighting me on this Facebook Live thing or video in general. She did a video in an airport. She was crunched between a column and a trash can. Her lips and her chin are quivering, and she's so nervous. Oh. I can't even remember what she was talking about, but it went bananas.
Oh my God.
People were liking it and sharing it and just congratulating her for basically doing it scared.
Oh, wow.
And it was powerful. And, you know, to this day, every time she gets in front of the video camera, something great happens. She gets a referral. Anytime she makes a post that's even remotely mortgage related, she gets applications. And I'm like, why aren't you doing this like every day, maybe even a couple times a day?
Yeah.
But it's hard. You know, it is hard for people to do this, and you got to put yourself out there and get out of your comfort zone. All right. So in addition to Inman, do you go to your the Better Homes and Gardens conference?
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's not a Better Homes and Gardens agent, are there some other ones you'd recommend, or is Inman your favorite? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Inman, I would say, is my favorite. However, if I can make the time work, you know, and the money, I am gone. I even went to the Keller Williams family reunion, I believe it was last year in New Orleans, and I'm not even with Keller Williams. And actually, you know, I stayed with a little group of people, and only one of them was with Keller Williams. Gosh, so yeah, Fusion with Better Homes and Gardens, that one, and I know I'm forgetting more. Oh, I do a lot of staging. So actually last July, I went to a little bit of Inman in Las Vegas, but also I mainly went to the night events, I'll be honest. But I went to the staging conference that's out there, out in the desert at the M Resort as well. So I kind of crisscross between the two, and I'll probably do the same this year too.
So that sounds like a whole separate podcast, staging, because that's another thing that's
a lot.
Yeah, that's like super, super important. But do you do it yourself? Like you have your own furniture and all that stuff?
Yes.
And you get people to help you move? You hire movers or you have...
Yes. It's it has blown up way bigger than I ever thought it would be. But, you know, in a nutshell, I feel like we're in a world where agents have got to prove what they're being paid for. Mm-hmm. And to me, I can't stand to list an empty house anyways. Right. It's just physically not in me, and it just turned into something very big. I've been so busy with staging, actually, that I have not been selling as much real estate.
Okay, so this is an income stream for you.
Oh, definitely. And it's also won me listings, too, from one girl in particular that I'm great friends with now. I didn't even know her in the beginning, but I've gotten about 3 or 4 contracts from her and referrals from her. And it was literally, we became friends somehow. And she was like, well, I mean, she's tight with her money. She's smart. But she was like, I wanted you to list my house because I knew that you would stage it too. That's huge. I mean, that's a lot of money right there.
Right.
And she was like, and I just like what you're about on Facebook.
Yeah. So it was a combination of things. Yeah. You're showcasing your skills, mm-hmm. your expertise. She is attracted to your online presence. So it was a combination of these things mm-hmm. that really worked in your favor. Right. So, and it's generated business. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about how people can find you if they want to buy and sell property in the greater Mobile area. So what are you comfortable information-wise putting out there?
Well, I have a website, www.housesforsaleInMobile.com. I'm Candace Foster on Facebook, and I'm Homegirl Candace on Instagram. Home as in, you know, like the home you live in. Right. Actually, I got that from Inman too a couple of years ago. I just thought it was cute, but whatever.
It's adorable. Well, this has been really good. There's going to be so many quotes from this, and I've got to pick one because I'm going to do a story post, and I'm like, which one do I pick? I think I've got the one I want to use though, but I hope you'll come back because I want to talk more about staging. I know that you are just a wealth of information, and this has been really, really good.
Thank you.
And, you know, you probably need to be doing this more often. Like get your own anchor podcast and start hitting the airwaves, because this is a talent of yours if you did not know it.
Oh, well, thank you. I did not know.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us. And I just like to remind people that are listening with this, if you get some value out of this, please share it and please rate us on iTunes. We appreciate all your support and continued listenership. And until the next episode, we're signing off from the Impact Agent Podcast. Thanks, Candace.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Impact Agent Podcast. If you like the show and got something out of it, please like the Impact Agent Podcast on Facebook and rate and review the show on iTunes or anywhere you listen to podcasts. This really helps us grow the show and helps other agents find it. Please share it with your friends and coworkers as well. You want us to deliver the show to you via email every week? Then email me at jason@impactagentuniversity.com and we'll send you the show every week. Please let us know what you think about the show, what you like, what you don't. We'll possibly make a suggestion about a topic you want to hear. Email me at jason@impactagentuniversity.com or leave us a message on Facebook at Impact Agent Podcast. This podcast is produced by Johnny Gwynn at Deep Rod Studios in Mobile, Alabama, and is paid for and powered by JPAR Coaston County. That's JP & Associates Realtors. Until next week, everybody be productive, safe, and happy, and always keep learning.